Hello there, welcome back. My name is Katie and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living if you're new to my channel. And today we are doing some Thanksgiving side dishes, dips, that kind of thing. We're doing this in two different, I'm filming it all right now today, but I'm going to split up them into two different videos. So, sorry, I had to get my brain straight. I worked last night, so I'm kind of a little tired. Let me stir the sausage on the stove and we'll get back to you. Sorry about that. So what we're doing is doing 4 different recipes today. I'll split it up into 2 different videos. And we're doing a cheesecake dip with some mixed berries on top. We are doing a shrimp dip. We are doing a stuffing or dressing, whichever one you call it. Let me know in the comments what you call it. Some people, it just depends on what area of the country I think that you live in as to whether you call it stuffing or dressing. We call it dressing down here. And then also doing a corn casserole. So right now we're going to get started with the dressing. This is a sausage and apple dressing that I found last year from Becky on Acre Homestead. She had made this and stuffed a pork tenderloin. She had the whole loin and she butterflied it out, and so it unrolled. Put the stuffing on it and then rolled it back up and then baked it in the oven. I made that twice last year. It was so good. So that's what we're making this year. I'm going to make it today. We're going to stuff it into some really thick, probably 2-inch pork loin chops. So if you had the whole pork loin and you slice it into chops. And so we're going to stuff it in that today. And we're also going to put some on the side so you can see what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. If you want to do your dressing like it's a side dish or whether you're stuffing your bird, you can kind of see the 2 different ways it would look like. So I do have a pound of breakfast sausage going on the stovetop right now. You can use Italian sausage or breakfast sausage. Also in the oven, I'm preheating my oven right now, and in the oven I have 4 slices of white bread just sitting in there while it's preheating, so they'll dry out because we need to use that for the bread part of our dressing, stuffing, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to move over to the stovetop. I've also diced some onion and some celery, and we'll get those. I'm going to pull the sausage out of the pan. I think that's ready, and then we'll get the vegetables sauteing. All right, see, these are the pasta bowls I tell y'all I use for everything. So I'm going to pull my sausage out with a paper towel, strain this. We're going to leave the fat in the bottom of the pan to saute our vegetables. That'll also help release all the brown bits at the bottom. You can also use whatever kind of seasonings you want in this. The original recipe calls for rosemary, thyme, and sage. And sage is obviously that traditional Thanksgiving seasoning or herb. But today I'm just using thyme. I'm not going to use the sage. Alright, so I pulled the breakfast sausage out. Here we have 1 onion and 2 stalks of celery. Alright, and then real quickly I'm going to peel up, it says a tart apple. I'm using a Granny Smith. I peel this up and dice it. Not much fat rendered out of this, so I'm going to add some butter to this to get this going. You can already see the juices from the onions are releasing the brown bits on the bottom. Alright, I got the apple peeled. and slice down around the core, and we'll just finely dice this. Throw that right in the pan. When you're chopping, you don't necessarily hold your knife way back here. You kind of hold it up here so you have better control of your blade. Alright, so we have our apple in here now. And now it calls for a couple of cloves of garlic, but I am just, for time's sake tonight, just using my freeze-dried garlic powder. So you would use a couple of cloves of garlic, whatever it is to your liking. Get that in there. Give this another stir real quick. Check on my bread in the oven real quick. Probably toasted enough. Alright, while this is sauteing, we'll get our bread blended up, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to slice open my pork to stuff it. Alright, so in my food processor, I have my 4 slices of toasted bread. You could use, you know, just stale bread, but this was fresh, so I'll put it in the oven to dry it out a little bit. So I have this going in. And then we're also putting, let's see, 2 teaspoons of thyme and rosemary. Of course, you always season to your liking. If you want to put the sage in it, if you're using it for Thanksgiving, you can do that. I did the whole pork tenderloin for a Christmas party, and that was really nice. Alright, we're going to give this a quick blend. Alright, it says coarse crumbs, so we have it at coarse crumbs. You pull this off, move this out of the way so you can see the pork. What are we going to do with that? What's nice about this recipe is you can make extra or make it ahead of time and freeze it, and then use it when you need it. That's what I did last time, is it freezes really nicely. Alright, so I have these pork loin chops that are about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. And what I've done is I've taken a really sharp boning knife and cut a slit almost all the way through to the back. Alright, so I have one son that does not like pork, and so I do have chicken for him. You can stuff chicken with this. So what we're going to do, if you're using chicken, let's see if we can get this on the camera. So we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to just use our knife and cut almost all the way through. And then you can just kind of pick it up and just kind of make sure you've got a little pocket there to make your stuffing. Here's another one of the pork. We'll try it again. And just use your knife to kind of, if you didn't quite make it as deep as you want, All right, so we have another little pocket. All right, we're going to mix our dressing, our stuffing dressing. See, we're stuffing this, so we'll call it stuffing. We're also going to put it in a pan, so we'll call it a dressing. We're going to mix all this together, and we are going to stuff these up, and we're going to pan sear these before we put them in the oven. All right, so in our skillet, we are going to brown our meat. We're just going to sear it real quick before we stuff it. So I got some olive oil and some butter in my pan. I have salt and peppered both sides and on the inside of our butterfly. And all we're doing is looking to sear this. We're not looking to cook it all the way through. Maybe don't overcrowd your pan. I was just trying to get them all done in one pan. I did add salt and pepper to my dressing mix. I didn't show you that. So we salt and peppered everything. I even did the fat side over there. Alright, just looking for some color. So just 1 minute per side, 2 minutes maybe, depending on how hot your pan is. We'll just brown these up, and then we're going to put them in our baking dish that we're going to bake them in. And then we'll stuff them in the baking dish. I have my oven preheating to 375, and we're going to cook this to a temperature of 165, I think it is. Yeah, 165. I have this. I'll link this in the thing, the description box. It's a really handy meat thermometer. It tells you temperatures on the back. As soon as you open it turns on, and if you flip it around, it will flip around also. Use this on the grill, use it in the oven, and it's really like an instant read. Alright, I'm going to flip these on their like fat side to kind of brown that a little bit too. Chicken I'm going to go ahead and pull out. All these out. You know what? Since that already has the butter in the bottom, I think I'm going to stuff them and put them back in here because this pan can go in the oven. I think that's what I'm going to do. Even though I've already dirtied my casserole dish, I think I'm going to use that. Alright, let's see if you can see this. We'll just move the camera down a little bit. Alright, so all we're going to do, and this isn't too hot because it's raw still in the middle, so just be aware that this is raw and we don't want to cross-contaminate. So just as much as you can just kind of cram in there. Move it back over into this pan. I am setting this raw meat down in here because I am going to bake off the rest of this. Alright, get those in the pan. And I'll just use this baking dish then to put this stuffing in. I was going to use something else, but that works out. Or dressing, whatever you want to call it. What I am going to do is put a few pats of butter on top so it doesn't get dried out. And cover it with some foil. Alright, they're going in the oven on 375. Alright. Okay, so the next dish we're going to make is, we always called it corn casserole. This recipe actually came from my sister-in-law. She grew up on a corn farm. This was something that they always made, so she brought this into our family. But since then, I've kind of seen some people do little variations of this. They call it corn souffle, corn casserole. Some have cheese. We have never put cheese in ours. So we're going to get this recipe. This is super easy. You start up in the dish you're going to bake it in. That's how easy this recipe is. So we're going to get this going. And I have a couple little modifications that I have made over the years. And we'll just get this started. So we have our oven preheated to 350 degrees, and what we're going to do is we're going to just dump everything in our casserole dish here. So we have 1 can of cream style corn. Cream style corn, and Del Monte does make a non-GMO one. So we're going to dump this in here. And so the next ingredient calls for a can of canned corn with the juice in there, the liquid, undrained. So what I do is, I don't usually have canned corn on hand. I don't buy it. So I just take frozen corn. In order to measure, I just dump it right back in the can to about what I think a can of corn is filled up to. And then I add milk for the liquid part. And I just use my can to measure it. So dump that in there. Alright, we're going to give that a little stir. And the next thing we're going to add is 1 stick of melted butter. This is melted and cooled. Stir that in. And then we're going to add 1 cup of sour cream. I think some people would even call this maybe a corn pudding. But this is one of the, every year for Thanksgiving, really, and Christmas, is when I ask my kids, All right, what are the must-haves? This is one of those go-to ones. And then this is the crazy part. It's just one box of the Jiffy corn muffin mix. All right, we're going to stir this. Now, if you wanted to add cheese on the top, you could do that, or mixed in. This is a 2-quart casserole round dish. I will see if they have it on Amazon. It's a Corningware dish. I'll leave a link for you if you're interested in getting one. Of course, any of the links I have in the bottom, you don't pay anything extra for that. It just helps me out as a channel. All right, so we're all stirred together. We're going to put this in the oven, and this does take about an hour to bake. All right. All right, so here's our corn casserole slash corn souffle slash corn pudding. This is the dressing, I guess, because it's not stuffed into our meat. And I like it. What I did was I baked it, and then about halfway through I pulled the foil off so it gets little crispy bits on the top. I really like how it does that. And then I checked this, and it was 40 minutes that I ended up baking these. So with pork, you don't have to get it too well done, especially if it's been frozen previously. You pull it out a little early because you don't want it to dry out. This can dry out very easily, so you don't want it to do that. So you pull it out of the oven or wherever you're cooking it at about 162, 3, 4-ish. Tint it with some foil for about 10 minutes, and it will continue cooking, so you don't want it to dry out. So I'm going to get it. There is, of course, the stuffing in here, but I'm going to get a little bit of extra because it's really good. And I like the crispy bits on it. Of course, you're going to have other sides and green beans or broccoli or salad or, you know, whatever you have at Christmas or Thanksgiving. But this is what we're having today. I'm going to get a little bit of this corn casserole. All right. So you can see what that looks like. All right, and we're going to give this a taste test. I'm going to cut it real quick before I show you. All right, so we're perfectly cooked. It's not too dry. Give this a taste test. I love thyme with pork. It's so good. Just a bite of our dressing. And then our corn casserole. It's really hot. See the steam coming off of it. I just pulled it out of the oven. Ooh. Sorry, that was so hot. Just a little bit of sweetness from that Jiffy corn muffin mix, but so good, buttery. It's definitely buttery. I hope you give these recipes a try. I hope you'll have a great Thanksgiving. Let me know what y'all do for Thanksgiving, what y'all's traditions are. These are a few of our traditions, and I will see you next time. Hit subscribe so you can follow along. Thanks for watching.